Obviously, Hone is a healthcare company. You're specializing in testosterone. How do you approach health and fitness? And this can be, you talked about, I guess, the mental aspect, which is meditation. Maybe talk a little bit more about the physical aspect, and talk about the role that that plays in your ability to lead at Hone day to day. Because I think it's interesting to kind of make the parallel between what you do and then how you think that helps you.
Oh God, Daniel.
Sorry if I just opened up a can of worms.
No, I'm over the top obsessed with this stuff, right? Meaning I've been an athlete, since I was a child, and in large part, it was such an important part of me actually fitting into this country. I've worked out 6 days a week for the past 25 years of my life. I eat perfectly, meditate twice a day, track my sleep with three different devices. I test my blood with 40 vials of blood every 3 months. This company is 100% an outgrowth of the habits that I built up over a lifetime, right? And so I only build mission driven companies based upon problems I've been through personally. And this one was directly inspired by the fact that I learned I had low testosterone at the age of 35, regardless of the fact that I took perfect care of myself. And so maybe the best way to say is what happens when I don't exercise and I don't meditate? Well, my relationship falls apart. My girlfriend notices it very quickly. I start making poor quality decisions. I actually can't work hours like I normally do, right? And in order to build a business like this at the speed of which we built it, you're talking 14, 15-hour days, 6, 7 days a week, no joke, constantly going. I make it a very big point. Every probably 3 months or 4 months, I get a new trainer to shock my body. Um, I would argue that I turned 40 this year, and for being 40, you put me on a court with a bunch of kids, I'll still dust them. I think the biggest one of it, though, is all of it has to do with mindset, right? Like because I'm constantly forcing myself to be uncomfortable, I'm getting up at 5:30 or 6 every morning, hitting the gym, clearing my mind, making sure that I'm clear-headed in addition to feeling optimal. It's what allows me to come to work and be myself every single day, right? And if I we could go into like detail how rigorous the schedule actually is, but if I wasn't taking care of myself, literally zero chance that I'd be able to do it.
Walk us through high level some of the things that you do, and maybe an example. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of equipment, a lot of amazing equipment that I wish I had. So you can either maybe walk us through some of the things you do, or just walk through a day when you've done a few of these and what that looks like and what kind of your workout routine is like.
On any given day, right? First thing I do, wake up in the morning, I drink a liter of water. I've learned how to do it over several years. It's a lot to go down. After that, I'll make sure that I practice my gratitude exercises. So a lot of people think they're kind of silly, but there's like this unbelievable science behind it. So I use 5 minute journal. Have you ever heard of that one? Right. And so basically wake up in the morning and you have to take a second and actually think about what you're grateful for. And you don't just rip out the list. You have to take a second, you have to write it down, and you have to internalize it and literally feel it. And when you feel it, it creates kind of like these connections in your body that serve a much larger purpose. And I'll get to it. And so what ends up happening is if you do that every single day for several months and you start to build these kind of like gratitude muscles in your body, all of a sudden it'll be 6 o'clock, you'll be pulling into a meeting, you'll be tired as all hell, and you'll be talking to someone you do not want to talk to, having a conversation that you literally want to bang your head against the wall. And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm like really grateful to be here and have this really shitty conversation with this person. And it's really funny how it sneaks up on you. And I've been doing it now for 5 years. Also helps me uh, basically like step out of any situation and see the beauty in it. So gratitude exercises, head to the gym, work out for about 45 minutes, make sure I get about a half hour of cardio in. Every single day, I do some form of a sauna, whether it's an infrared sauna, whether it's a dry sauna, whether it's a wet sauna. I follow that up usually because I'm at the gym and I don't get to hit the cold plunge. We'll follow that up with a cold shower. Make sure my meals are all measured out in macros. Come and eat my first
It's
meal.
incredible you measure your meals in macros still. I mean, that's amazing.
I've been through several dietary changes just to see what's going to really help my body perform the best. And so you almost have to make sure your body's responding the right way. Now, once you get a feel for it, you can kind of pull back a little bit. But like generally, I'm still pretty obsessive about it. And then drink water throughout the day. Like people will always forget that. I know it sounds silly, but I promise you drink a liter of water every single day in the morning and several times throughout. You're going to realize your brain just works better. And then at night, it's always I try stretching before I go to bed. I always make sure I look at my list for the day before, and then I always meditate. If I don't meditate, I do not sleep as well. And it's going to sound silly. Make sure that I cool my room to about 63 degrees. I have magnesium threonate. I meditate. I have a silly eye mask, which if you don't have an eye
They're
mask,
pretty amazing. They're pretty
you're
amazing.
you're missing out. You're so missing. I used to make fun of people that had them until I wore one, and I was like, holy shit! Like halfway through the night, if you wake up, you're sleeping better. I was looking at my Aura and my Whoop. I was getting way more deep sleep. So that's kind of like, I guess, like a normal day. On the weekends, I get really obsessed about kind of what they call active recovery. And so when I have an active recovery day, a little bit of cardio, but the reality is like I'm working really hard to probably get into some kind of meditative state. Maybe it's something silly like a sound bath, which also, if you haven't done, game changing. I have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. I'll try hitting that once or twice a week when I have an active rest day. And it really is not just sitting around watching TV per se, although maybe there's some of those days. It is thinking through how can I get my body and my brain back to being kind of like where I was the day before as fast as possible.